Welcome back to Behavioral Finance and FinTech. I'm Andy Kim, your Dr. Finance, and we've been talking about the traits of the CEO, the psychological biases of the CEO. Does that affect, right, the corporate financial decision making, M&As, right, money spending kind of things? Some of you may wonder, how is it related to the FinTech per se, right? When you are lending money as a banker to two different clients, right? Other things being equal, these two guys, their economic power, age, and experience, and all these kind of things are the same, but one person is more narcissistic than the others. To whom would you charge higher interest rate? That boils down to the question of which one do you think will do more conspicuous consumption? 과시적 소비, right? 내가 누군지 알아! And then spending so much time on that. Or which of the two will be doing more 갑질, kind of like a exploitatively hurting your employees and saying like, you know who I am. It's like you inferior guys. You have to listen to me, and then give you a hard time. Which one of the two will do that? Narcissistic versus non-narcissistic. The answer is clear, right? How to prevent that kind of trouble? Which one? And then to which one would you charge higher interest rate? I mean, charging higher interest rate, isn't that discrimination? No, come on. It's about the probability of default, right? Bankruptcy probability. It boils down to that conspicuous consumption, okay? So narcissistic guys, they have to watch out for their consumption behaviors. And for bankers, you have to charge higher interest rate for those guys. Quite obvious. And then the research has been, finding that there's a difference in the companies' ESG activities, right? Environment, social, and governance activities, depending on the narcissism of the CEO, the degree of narcissism matters over there. Go ahead and Google search it, right? In scholar.google.com, and then CSR and narcissism, okay? And then the next concept that we're going to talk about is overconfidence. Overconfidence, right? 내가 제일 잘 나가. It's like our team is great. Not just myself, but our team is great, and we will do something great, right? And then if we do M&As, mergers and acquisitions, the synergy will be huge, right? We know, precisely the bright future is there. Let's go merge. Here you see Professor Richard Rohr, who proposed the hubris theory of M&A. Why do companies spend millions of dollars in M&A and on average they waste money of the shareholders? Right. Last week we had a talk by 이혁진 대표님 in Bain Korea, right? The CEO, Bain Korea CEO, and then he gave you the data. Talked about the data that shows huge increase in the money spent on M&As, right? Sometimes it is successful, sometimes it turns out to be failure, but you remember, right? Why do companies do M&A? That's, partly, it depends on depending on how do you say, who is pursuing those M&A, right? Who is the acquirer matters there, right? And then he said, well, if you look at the, mergers and acquisitions, majority of it is done by the simple companies, acquirers, right? Companies doing it. And the other is done by private equities, right? Private equity companies like KKR, IMM, and kind of guys, right? But the thing is about these companies, right? Private equity, it does not matter that much because they try to merge for strategic reasons or portfolio management kind of reasons. So for them, it's more about the management, the economic efficiency by merging something like that. Company, right? If it is the acquirer that tries to merge other companies, right? Acquiring company, let's say Google or Kakao is merging other smaller companies. What do they think over here? What do they care more about? They care about the synergies the most. Synergy, right? It's the most important variable they care about. But the thing is, how to estimate this synergy is a big issue. And you can make tons of mistakes doing that, right? And then you can overestimate or underestimate these synergies, okay? How precise are you? The M&A advisory is helping you on this, but most of the time, it heavily depends on the CEO's perception. The guy over here, the brain, the chief decision maker, the CEO, if he believes that he can make, or their team, their company can make a huge synergy, I say, can you see this? Our synergy called love, yes, like this, right? If you believe that synergy is huge, then you will be more likely to overspend on taking over that company. Oh, synergy. If you believe, on the other hand, the synergy is very small, you're not going to overspend it, right? Then the issue becomes for the CEOs, right? If you ask them how much synergy do you think you can make, the CEOs tend to be more optimistic, overconfident, and then they waste money. That's the issue. See, this is different from narcissistic CEOs doing M&As. Narcissistic CEOs, they do M&As to draw attention, right? Splashy deals. But here, overconfident CEOs, they look at the synergies and overestimate it. That's the difference, right? Now, why do they waste money like this? Yeah, and things like that. Over-optimism, right? And then not just the CEOs, right? We are all human beings. So 1 level, 2 levels below CEO, you see CFOs. And CFOs are also overconfident. The Graham and Harvey, these guys are Duke finance professors. They once did a survey upon hundreds of, 300 different CFOs responded out of 1,000 in the United States, publicly traded companies. And then here is the question: how would you rate your ability, your own ability, to pick which investment project will be profitable for your company? 1 is poor, and then 7 is excellent, and then absolute majority said they are excellent, and above average. Come on. Somebody has to be worse than average. They have to recognize that they are, but they don't. They have more self-esteem. They're like, I am better than the average, And then the similar thing happens. When I ask other students about your driving ability, how do you think you are, right? Compared to, the whole population. Is your driving skills poor or excellent or average? An absolute majority of them say above average. I am better than you guys, right? They also think like that. Overconfidence, right? Guys versus girls. Gender difference is there as well. Guys tend to be overestimating their ability too much compared to girls, right? They are more rational, risk averse. These guys are guys are more risk seeking and overconfident together. Why do you take risk? Because I am confident that my probability of success is bigger than average. Oh, yes. That's why the corporate world, right? This kind of confidence matters a lot, and then systematically it has been that way. We're going to talk about that a little later. On average, top managers are overconfident, but why is the issue? And the thing is, shareholders want CEOs to be somewhat more overconfident than not. Okay? So what do you see? The horizontal axis is overconfidence degree. Okay? And some people over here are completely rational. They precisely know the probability of dangers, right? There are some people who have encyclopedic knowledge about how to die. Oh, some people say like, when I walk, and the person will say like, somebody was dying on the walk, on the streets. 땅 꺼져서 죽었으니까. Or it's like whenever I talk about swimming, the person will say, oh, I know about the case for, who died in swimming out of a heart attack. Would you like to hang around with that kind of rational person? Or diffident person, lack of confidence, right? And what you see on the vertical axis is the shareholder value, or the shareholders welcoming, right? Welcoming, the degree of welcoming for the CEOs, depending on the degree of overconfidence, right? Lack of confidence or diffident person versus reasonably or overconfident person in the middle, right? And then extreme overconfident guys. There are some people who are full of confidence and does not think about any wrong outcomes, right? Excessive overconfident guys. Would you like that kind of guys? Perhaps not. Would you like excessively diffident guys? Perhaps not either. You want some reasonable degree of overconfidence for your leaders, like this part. 중용, 만사 중용이 제일이다. It's like you have to be in the middle ground of having reasonable confidence in yourself, right? This is the same for your job interviews as well, right? In your job interviews, when you meet a new person and the future boss, you want to look confident enough. I'm good, okay? Don't say you are the super top of Einstein kind of genius over there. No, right? That's overconfidence. But you're smart. That's good. Reasonably smart enough to, I think you can carry out the task, and I'm willing to learn from that. And then I have reasonable, competence and confidence in me. So give me it, right? I'm going to do it. That kind of fighting spirit has to be there. Okay? Your eyes and facial expressions and your words and body language should tell that. Then the future boss will say, maybe we should hire that guy. That's good. You don't want to look too, polite. I'm nobody but you. And they will hire that guy, not you. So you need a confidence in your interviews as well. Same thing holds for CEO position as well. But here's more important things, right? For the leadership position, the CEO positions, why do shareholders want overconfident guys than rational guys? Because it's cheaper to motivate. This is the most important part. Cheaper to motivate. 싼 맛에. Oh my God. 싼 맛에. What do you mean? CEO position, the decision making has a huge impact, right? CEOs. The higher level you go, the more responsibility you have. The bigger power comes with bigger responsibility. You know that, right? And M&As or whatever investment decisions or divestment decisions, there is uncertainty. You may hit the jackpot or going nowhere, right? 대박 아니면 쪽박. The degree of risk gets higher. And then every decision that you make. Not only that, your company, depending on the decision that you make, your whole companies of thousands of employees may hit the jackpot together or go to the trash, right? Altogether. It's very scary. It's very scary for you thinking about the responsibility. Are you confident enough to take care of that? Okay? Because, plus you have your personal career and your reputation as a CEO or the leader in the labor market, right? Think about your reputation. Oh, Andy Kim, what did he do in the past? And if your decision turned out to be failure, right? Failure, your future career is screwed together because your reputation gets screwed up. Oh, Andy Kim made it, blah, blah, blah. Versus if you hit the jackpot, they were like, wow, Andy Kim is a great guy. He's like he's a star, blah, blah, blah. And then that jackpot and then trash degree. It's so scary, your whole career. And you put your stock options and stock investments or equity ownership that you have with your company, right, is there together with it. Just like any shareholders, right? This is incentive and governance, right? Now, with this kind of scariness, with your incentive and your career, the concerns, right? You need to be confident enough, okay? If you are perfectly rational, what would you do? So scary that you will ask, right? This rational guy will ask for huge amount of compensation. Billions of dollars, please give me to safeguard my butt. If I fail, I still want to be safe. 안전을 위해서, right? So many of you in Korean guys, you are going for a 공무원 시험, like public servant test, which is very stupid. For your safety's sake, right? Some of you may say, "Oh, 효도하기 위해서, like for my parents, because they want me to get a safer job." It's your life, man. Come on. But they say it like, for the safety, and for that safety, okay, in my bad outcomes, to be protecting myself, I want a huge compensation, cash out right now, please, billions of dollars, or let's say for the same degree of riskiness, I want $200 million of compensation over here. If you are perfectly rational. For this kind of guys, right, they would say what? Don't worry, we can take care of that. I'm confident. So you don't need to pay me $200 million for the same degree of risk. Just $100 million or $50 million, just good enough. A fraction of compensation, you are still motivated. And then you are confident to build up those things because you are overestimating the success probability. For the shareholders, okay, other things being equal, you're equally smart enough, equally informed, they want a guy with overconfidence in a CEO position, right? This is a very mathematically proven and then economically proven theory that tells about the overconfidence and the CEO. Okay, I'm not bullshitting over here. This is there is a top journal publication about this one with mathematical economics, right? So that's that, right? Don't at the end. On the other hand, you don't want this extremely overconfident guys because he's crazy, right? He will detrimentally hurt the companies by taking excessive risk. That's what you've seen in 2008, right? Financial crisis. CEOs being extremely overconfident or aggressive too much. Anyway, what you see over here is 공자님, Confucianism, if you're aware of it. 공푸츠, right? 공자님. And notice that SKKU, Asia's oldest university in Korea, not in China, come on. And this guy is Chinese guy, but we celebrate his philosophy very much so that we turned out to be the only university or only organization that celebrate his birthday every end of September. 공부가 탄신일. Yes, we celebrate that day, just like what you guys celebrate Christmas Day, right? And then how come SKKU is the only organization that was doing it? Because China made a huge mistake during their Cultural Revolution that wiped off everything, right, historically related to bourgeoisie, and then they perceived Konfuzi, old-time guys like the bourgeoisie, and then so that's why, right? Turned out to be we are the only one. Nowadays, I guess they are celebrating their own way in China. Back to Anyway, that's a fun fact to remember when you are studying in SKKU. Asia's oldest university. Doctrine of the mean. 만사충용이 제일이니라. In Korean way. Cheaper to motivate this overconfident guys, right? And you see this example. Apart from the corporate life, in your personal life as well, you need to be overconfident, and people want their partners to be overconfident reasonably. Like dating situation, right? Would you want a perfectly rational guy and a diffident, lack of confidence as your dating partner? Or would you like a crazily overconfident guy, like going like crazy? Or somebody in the middle? 만사충용이 제일이니라, right? You still want somebody with some reasonable confidence there, right? And swag when necessary, right? Whenever necessary, right? 오빠 한번 믿어봐, 너만 바라보리라. It's like this is a very representative song about this mindset over there, right? You want somebody who is reasonably confident enough, right? That's very important because, not just a dating, but meeting spouses or future spouses, marriage or partnering, right? Whichever way it may be, right? It's a huge investment, right? Huge investment of your life. 청춘 사업, right? It's an investment. For that part, you need a reasonable degree of overconfidence in you, okay? Is it a function of whether I have a house or not? If I have a house, I will be more confident versus not? No, I don't think so, right? Why do we need a house? Because of the convention. Why can't you be more innovative than that, right? In my case, I did not have house. I still don't have house when I got married. That's one thing I appreciate my wife, right? And then it's about exploring your life together, right? And then building up your family together. Not just one person's, right? Dedication with money, and then discriminately asking the other part to be, doing something else. No. It's like co-investment of your life together. Fairness matters over there. Why can't you be more innovative that way, right? Instead of simply conforming to the social norm. And that also matters with your confidence in you, self-confidence. Reasonably, you should be overconfident to overcome that kind of social norm, right? The thing is, I'm going to talk about this lack of confidence in our society later on. So wait a minute. See, overconfidence versus narcissism. I told you about the difference, right? Very important. And then Malmendier and Tate, those professors are here, UC Berkeley, and then North Carolina Chapel Hill, right? The big shot guys over there. And then Malmendier and Tate, they studied the overconfident CEOs, M&A patterns, and they found out the overconfident CEOs are the ones who may waste money in so many M&As, right? Extreme degree of overconfidence does not help, right? How do they measure this overconfidence? Well, they have two different measures of overconfidence. The first one, I'm not going to test you in your exam setting, but the second one, I will test you. The first one is about option exercise. The CEOs have a lot of option packages in their pocket, right? Call option, not put option. Well, call option, when the price goes up, you have an option, right? Let's say the option strike price is $100 per share, and then the strike price is 100, and your current stock price turned out to be 200. Oh, you're in the money. What would you do? Exercise it right away versus not? Rational guys will do what? Rational guys will immediately exercise and cash out those call option. The thing is, call option has expiration date, and then it's more American option. So it has 8 years of life or 7 years of life. And right now, your option has 7 years of life, and it is already in the money, right? $200 as opposed to $100 strike price. You have still 7 more years to go. Would you exercise it or not? Rational guys will immediately exercise it. Okay? because he's afraid or she's afraid that the price will go down and then disappear. But overconfident guys would say what? Oh, only $200? Oh, I believe our great company stock price will jump to $1,000. Like, we will go to the moon. In 7 years, we will be in the moon. Why would I exercise option right away? $200 only versus $100 strike price. In 7 years, it's going to be this, $10,000. And then the difference, right? 9,900 will be mine, will be ours, right? Don't exercise it. Unexercised until the end, even though the stock is deep in the money. That's a typical symptom of overconfidence. So that's what they captured as overconfidence proxy. Okay. The other measure of overconfidence is using media big data approach. Look at the transcripts in the CEO interviews on CNBC or any journals, right? Not the journals, but the news media or shareholders, letter to shareholders, right? Identify and count the word confident or confidence or optimistic kind of list of words, confidence related words. How many times does he or she speaks? Okay? Why? Language is the mirror of the mind. Who said it? Leibniz, right? So that's the idea. And I have this data. Turns out this is fantastically working nicely. And then matching the theory very well. If I throw in all those outcomes, economic outcome variables, right? This one, option-based ones, is kind of noisy. Why? Because it could be that not only overconfidence will affect the CEO's option holdings, but also insider information, right? Could hold this guy, and so that he will just keep the option unexercised. Okay, if he has great insider it's insider information that he did not disclose yet, right? And then he will be more likely to keep it unexercised because of simple overconfidence. That's a tricky part. I'm not going to ask you in the exam anyway. But for this one, media-based one, big data approach, which is easily applicable in your fintech. Like if you are Kakao, look at the people's chatting and then see how many confidence words they speak and write. That could be a measure going on there. Anyway, so that's that. And then the overconfident CEOs, M&A, overconfident CEOs, right? More likely to pay with cash, not stock, right? Why? Let's say you are the acquirer taking over the target, okay? Of course, you can pay this guy cash out of it, right? Alternatively, you can exchange your stocks, the shares, right? Paying with the shares, you will hate that idea. Why? Because right now it is $200 per share, but you believe this share will go to the moon, right? In a couple of years. $1,000 in the future. Why would I pay that $1,000 to this guy, even though they are just worth like $200 right now? So instead of giving stocks, you will choose to pay cash to the target company. For target company's perspective, they will party. Yeah, the overconfident CEOs pay more with cash, and cash kachang kachang right away, just you can party it, right? Instead of receiving stocks, right? You will like it more. But from the perspective of the shareholders of this guy, acquirer, you will hate it, right? Because it's draining your cash balance. Liquidity goes out, right? Liquidity dries up, and then you don't have cash enough. So you're more likely to hate, and then the price response to M&A acquisition announcement will be bad, right? Malmendier and Tate's finding is there, right? And then prediction number 2, market reaction to mergers and acquisitions will be negative for overconfident managers. That's what they find as well. Right, so it seems like overconfident CEOs are something, not value adding, but is that it? Okay, are there some value adding perspective of the CEO, overconfident CEOs? I'm going to talk about it in the next video, so wait for that. Thanks for watching.